Hey kids, welcome to section 6.2 credit card basics. Today we're going to learn try to understand the basics of a credit card and how do they work. Can you just spend? Do you actually pay them back? What's going on? So credit cards, how they work, basics. So here's some ways you can buy stuff. You probably already know that you can buy stuff with cash. You make a full payment in cash and you get the item at the same time. So you go to Hardee's, you pay $10, you get your food right then and there. Debit, you make a full payment electronically through your checking account and you get the item at the same time. You go to Hardee's, you pull out your debit card, you swipe it, you get the food right then and there. Layaway. Layaway, if you've ever been familiar with layaway, is when you make payments first, then you get the item after it's completely paid in full. Some people put their Christmas gifts on layaway, meaning they go and pick out all their Christmas gifts, and the store puts them in a big old box in the back. And the person comes in every once in a while, makes $10 payment here, $20 payment there. When all the items are finally paid off, the person gets to take the stuff home. And then finally, credit. Credit's when you get the item first, and then you make payments until it's paid in full. So you go to Hardee's, you swipe your credit card, you eat your food, and about a month later, you pay for the food that you ate. First credit card was invented in 1950. FYI, little backstory. And so the credit card is a small plastic card that allows you to access a credit limit. Basically, what you are doing is you are borrowing money from the credit card company. The balance is the money that you currently owe. The credit limit is the maximum amount of money you can borrow without a penalty. So basically, when you start a credit card, like my son got his first credit card at 18, his credit limit was, I think, $300. Meaning, if he could show the credit card company that he could pay off $300 worth of purchases every month on time without any penalty for a bit of time, then the credit card company will raise his limit to $500. And then if he can pay for a couple months or a year $500 back every month, they'll raise his credit limit to $1,000. And so a credit limit is how much the credit card company thinks you can pay off every month. And that's how much they're going to let you spend, i.e., or borrow. On most cards, you can avoid paying interest on purchases if you pay your balance in full each month by the due date. Kids, that's the most important thing about a credit card. The most important thing is that as long as you pay all your money off on the credit card every month in full on time, you'll never have to pay any interest. I've never paid interest on a credit card. I've always paid every month. So I don't spend on my credit card what I can't pay for normally. There are things called minimum payments where, in order to not get in trouble by the credit card company, this is the amount you must pay in order to avoid a penalty. You still have to pay interest, but you're not going to get a fee because you didn't pay anything. Now, only paying the minimum amount is the most expensive way to pay off a card. It takes the longest amount of time and it incurs the most interest. So you definitely don't want to be only paying back a small amount of money. I'll show you an example in a minute. And don't forget, the higher the balance, the higher your minimum payment. So it's not always going to have a minimum payment of $10 or $30. It depends on how much money you owe. So for instance, let's look at an example over here. Suppose you have a credit limit of $300, like my son. Find the available credit after each transaction. So, just to understand credit, in the beginning, you have zero balance because you haven't used your card, and available credit means you have $300 that you can spend. Well, let's say you go to Target and you spend $25. Now you owe $25, which means your available credit is $275. Okay, remember, these two always add, okay? Now, let's say you charge $80. Well, that means now your balance is up to $105, which means your available credit is now only $195. So you didn't pay any back, you charged money. So when you charge money, your balance goes up. When you charge money, your balance goes up. And notice your credit goes down. Well, let's say I charge $135. Well, if I add $135 to this, my balance is now at $240, which means I can only spend $60 more. Well, guess what, kids? If I send in $115 to pay off my bill, I now only owe $125, which means I can spend $175. Notice that every single time your balance plus your available credit always is $300. So you can't spend $300 every month until you pay off the $300 from the previous month. Just something to think about. All right, so the most important thing that we're going to do today is we're going to look at a credit card statement. So this first slide here is has 10 questions on it, but we're going to use the credit card statement in your notes in order to answer the questions. Now, there's 2 credit card statements here. One that looks pretty boring and one that has some bigger pictures on it. We're going to use this first one, this first credit card statement, to answer the questions on the first slide in your notes. So refer to the credit card statement and answer the following. Number 1, what is the closing date on the statement? So if you look at the credit card statement, you're going to find the closing date. Take a look around. Where is the closing date? Oh, I found a date, but that's the payment date. So we want the closing date. Where is the closing date? Why can't I find it? Closing date. Is it down towards the bottom? Why can't I find it? Oh, duh. Right here. Statement closing date. See, sometimes you just got to keep looking. Statement closing date. 3/22 of 2012. 3/22 of 2012. Okay, that was fun. Number 2, what is the previous balance on the credit? Previous balance on the credit. Right here. Previous balance. $535.07. $535.07. That was the previous balance from the previous month. That's how much they spent in the last month. That's why it's called the previous balance. $535.07. Number 3, what is the new balance on the credit card? So the new balance is how much they now owe. That's because you made some more purchases. If I look down here, here's your new balance is $1,749.53. So they came into the month owing $535, and they made some more purchases, and they ended the month owing $1,749. So they tripled their amount they owed. Number 4, what is the minimum payment on this credit card statement? So if you look over here, minimum payment right here, minimum payment, $53. So notice they owe $1,700, but as long as they pay $53 every month, the credit card company won't be mad. But they're going to charge you a buttload of interest in order to do that. So that's the confusing thing. Minimum payments are how much money you have to pay in order for the credit card company not to be mad at you. But in reality, you should be paying the whole entire balance. Otherwise, you're paying extra money for things you already bought. So the minimum payment was $53. Number 5, how many charges were made? To find the charges, you can look here in the transactions. Notice store number 1, that's a charge. A payment is not a charge. A cash advance is not a charge. A transfer, a balance transfer is not a charge. There was only one charge in this month, and it was for $529.57. You can also look up here for total purchases. Total purchases is $529.57, and that's the one charge. So there are lots of different clues if you just look around. So there was one charge, and it was for $529.57. What is the APR for this credit card on purchases? So APR is the annual percentage rate. And the annual percentage rate is usually given as a percent, and it's the percent that you're going to pay in interest. So this is just a little side note, okay? So if you go to the credit card statement, it's usually on the bottom. And so we have interest charge calculations. So this is the percentage that they're going to charge you if you're late with paying. So for instances, there are purchases, cash advances, and balance transfers. Purchases is when you buy stuff at the store. Cash advances is when you ask the credit card company to give you like $300 up front. And it's not at a particular store, it's just like a cash, an amount that's given to you. A balance transfer is when you want to take money from one credit card that you owe and move it to a different credit card. I've never done this before, but that's how people get into credit card trouble, is when they take one balance from one credit card and move it to another one, and they kind of keep shuffling their money around. And yeah. So notice that the APR, the annual percentage rate for purchases, is 14.99%. That means that for every dollar you do not pay back the credit card company, you owe them an additional 15 cents at the end of the year. So that's an annual percentage rate, 14.99%. That's pretty high percentage. Did Susan take any cash advances from her credit card company? Oh, wait, I put that in the wrong one. Sorry. Let's put that in the right one. Okay, 14.99. That's the actual answer for 6. Okay, number 7. Did Susan pay off her credit card last month? How much did she pay? So to see if she paid off her credit card, you could go to the statement and you could see if her previous balance and her payments were the same number. If they're not the same number, then she didn't pay off her balance and therefore owes interest. So notice that if you go down here, there is interest charged, and that's because she didn't pay her balance. So no, she didn't pay her balance. She only paid $450. So we'll put no, she only paid $450. Number 8, did Susan take any cash advances from her credit card company? How much? Okay, so let's see. Did she take any cash advances? So we find cash advances. Yes, it looks like she took $318 in cash advances. And notice also down here in the transactions, there's your $318. Notice that there also was a cash advance fee. So not only did she get those $318 from the credit card company, but she was charged an extra $10.90 just to do that. So she's really getting $328, but she doesn't actually get to spend it all. So again, lots of things to think about when you have a credit card. Yes, $318. Number 9, what is Susan's credit limit for the credit card? So the credit limit for the credit card right now looks to be $2,000. Now again, that credit limit is going to start off small and it's going to get larger the longer you have the credit card and the more consistent you are at paying off your balance every month. My credit limit's pretty big right now because I've had one particular credit card for over 25 years. So they've seen that I've paid my money. Yes, I'm old. They've seen that I've paid my money every month, and so therefore my credit limit goes up. Finally, number 10, what is Susan's available credit for this month? That means how much more can she spend? Well, remember that the balance that you owe and the credit you can spend always add up to your credit limit. So notice if I subtract these, my available credit, this $215.47, still holds true to that. So $215.47. Now, every credit card statement is different, so I want to show you another credit card statement to show you that different things are in different places every single time. So now we're going to refer to Tommy Tommyson's credit card statement from National Bank, and we're going to answer the following questions. So his credit card statement looks a little bit different, bigger numbers in different places. Different things jump out at you. There's a calendar on this one. There's also different ways to contact people. there's also a tear off thing at the bottom here. So it looks a little bit different. So again, every credit card statement looks different. Number 1, what is Tom's account number? So if you look around, try to find his account number. It looks like his account number is right here at the top. So 41233123982. Do you remember that? 41233/123/982. So your account number. Number 2, what is the minimum amount that Tom needs to pay for the month? So let's look for Tom's minimum amount. Remember the last guy's one was $53. This one is $91. So notice that the minimum payment is different for this statement than the last one. Notice the new balance is also more. So again, higher balance, higher minimum payment. So we'll put $91. Number 3, what was Tom's previous balance? So if you look, let's see. Yeah, here we go. Account summary. We got previous balance right here. 4567.49. So $4,567.49. 4567.49. Number 4, what would Tom do if he has any questions or concerns about his statement? So there's always going to be something listed about who you can call, where you can go in order to answer any questions. And so notice that there's a 1-866 number over here, but that's about credit counseling. So it looks like you would call customer service. If you want information about credit counseling, it looks like you would go to customer service. So you could call, gives you a phone number, hours of operations, it gives you a website, it gives you an address. So you would call customer service if you had any questions. Customer service. So whichever method you prefer. Number 5, how much extra will Tom have to pay if he doesn't make his payments on time? So if he doesn't make his payments on time, there will be a late fee. So if we do not receive your minimum payment by the date listed above, you may have to pay a late fee up to $39. So remember, as long as you pay the minimum payment, the credit card companies stay off your back. If you don't pay that minimum payment, then you get a late fee, which in this case is $39. Number 6, did Tom make his payment on time last month? How do you know? Well, you can take a look down here at the balance was $4,567.49, and notice his payment was $4,567.49. So because his balance and his payments were the same, I know yes. I also know that there is no interest charged, and interest is only charged when your bank or when your credit card balance has not been paid. So we can say yes, no interest charged. That's how we know we paid full. Number 7, if Tom only pays the minimum amount on the balance, how long will it take him to pay it off, and what will the total cost of that payment be? So remember, there is a minimum payment of $91. And there's always going to be a chart on here that, let's say you don't spend your credit card any more money. You don't use it anymore. You're like, oh my gosh, I've gotten myself into this situation. I owe $4,557, but I can only afford to pay $91 a month. So if you only pay $91 a month, it's going to take you 26 years to pay off that $4,557. And guess what, kids? At the end of the 26 years, that $4,500 is now $10,800. It's more than doubled. And it took you 26 years. So if you're 18 and you have a credit card balance of $4,500, then you're going to be 44 by the time you pay it off if you only pay $91 a month. And that means you can't buy anything else. You only have to pay off the balance. That's forever. So that's gross. 26 years and you're going to pay $10,886. I hope whatever you bought the first time was worth it, because that's very expensive. This is how people go into debt. Number 8, what is the maximum amount of money that Tom is able to charge to his credit card? Remember, the credit card company is going to stop letting you buy stuff at a certain point. That certain point is your credit limit. So look at the credit limit. The credit limit is $15,000. That means he can keep spending on his card until he hits $15,000 or whatever his available credit is. He's got about $10,000 more he can spend. So until he hits that $15,000 mark, his credit card's going to let him buy. However, that's how you get into debt. Number 9, what is the maximum amount of credit that Tom will have this month to buy some needs and splurge on some wants? So if you take a look at the credit card statement, he has a $15,000 credit limit, but because he owes a balance, he does not have the entire credit limit to spend. He only has $10,422. Remember, the balance and the credit line have to the balance and the credit available has to equal your total credit line. So $10,422. All right, kids, remember every credit card statement is different and stuff's going to be in different places. So make sure you read yours. That is the end of section 6.2. If you have any questions, please let me know. And as always, keep calm and keep trucking.